we're in London.
It's London, baby.
Hey there, MamFam. We have journeyed across the pond and are now in London, England. It's my first time here.
And I haven't been here since I was 8. So we have curated a London bucket list. So we're going to try and check off as many of these items as possible over the next few days. And we're bringing you with us.
Let's go.
Cheerio. No, I can't do it. I can't stop. I can't stop.
What you've missed is the entire walk over here. Buckingham Palace is right back there. And Molly was doing a great accent the whole way.
Hello, Mr. King.
Yeah. First item we're going to cross off the list is saying hello to the king. That's not true at all. He's not going to be there. But we are going to stop by Buckingham Palace. Originally known as the Buckingham House, it was built for the Duke of Buckingham and Normandy in 1703. It was acquired by King George III in 1761 and used as a private residence for Queen Charlotte and became known as the Queen's House in that time. For those of you curious, because I was, there are 775 rooms in the palace.
That's too many.
That's a lot of rooms. I don't have that many friends. I don't have that many family.
What? They're not all bedrooms.
They could be. They're rooms.
They just have bedrooms. There's no
only
room.
only bedrooms.
There's no kitchen.
Yeah, little known fact about Buckingham Palace, only bedrooms.
Now, Alan, just in case, you are to call the king your majesty, and as a man, you are supposed to bow from the neck, and I'm supposed to do a small curtsy. However, if the king offers his hand, you can do a polite handshake.
I don't think it's going to come up.
It's always good to be prepared.
Well, as luck would have it, we saw that the flag changed from the Union Jack flying above the palace to the Royal Standard, which means that the king literally just arrived.
Good thing we learned how to greet him.
So, still just got a hunch it's not going to be an issue.
Exploring more, and I noticed what I thought, at first glance was the Jolly Roger atop the light post. But whilst we are in England, we're not in fictional England. But these are little ships on all of the light posts in this area, and it is a nod to Nelson's fleet from the Battle of Cape Trafalgar. So that's pretty cool. We love a detail. We love an Easter egg.
Of history?
A Easter egg. I was getting ready to talk about this cool statue, but now I'm watching a helicopter land on top. I wonder who's in there. Perhaps Princess Kate. Or I would prefer it to be Prince George, because he's so sassy. Cool. Anyway, Prince George, yeah, Kate's son. It's not Harry and Meghan. Anyway, I was looking and admiring the statue of Queen Victoria that was built was commissioned in 1902 and unveiled in 1911, and it was commissioned for £200,000, which in now money is over £31 million, weighs 2,300 tons, and it's marble and gold and very beautiful. And if I was Queen Victoria, I would be down with this work of art in my honor. Especially like the little tiny Victoria on top of what I assume is a globe. All right, well, first item on the list, wave to the king.
Check. Hey there.
We did it.
Yeah, there it is. What's next?
Tea time.
Oh. And for tea, we are headed to the Dorchester, but on the way here, we did pass a lot of cool monuments.
It's so windy.
It is blustery. I get what Winnie the Pooh is talking about now.
He is British.
He is. A lot of those monuments, though, were in tribute to the Great War, so World War I and World War II, and those members who served and those members who did not return home.
Also, we saw an arch that was originally built to be the entrance to Buckingham Palace, but now celebrates the Duke of Wellington's victory over Napoleon, and I'm going to assume or start the rumor that he also made the beef.
Anyway, tea time.
Like Alan said, for tea time we are headed to the Dorchester, which is a very famous and fancy hotel here in London. Fun fact I just read, this is where General Eisenhower set up camp to plan the invasion of Normandy. The Dorchester has a very famous tea room, so we figured for our first ever tea in London, we're going to do it right. And because of that, we are not going to be filming live inside the afternoon tea out of respect for the other patrons, and you will hear from future Molly and Alan now as they do the voiceover for our tea time.
Now, the tea service at the Dorchester does have a price that varies based upon which champagne you choose to pair it with. But there is a non-alcoholic option as well as a plant-based menu.
Now, unsurprisingly, there are lots of teas to choose from, all different varietals, including some Dorchester exclusives. I went for the exclusive Dorchester Afternoon Blend, which is described as having flavors of malt, honey, and grape. Uniting India's two most celebrated origins, the champagne of teas superbly introduces Assam's malty flavor to Darjeeling's aromatic top notes.
Sucking down Darjeeling with Marie Antoinette and her little sister.
I'm not normally a tea drinker, I'm more of a coffee gal, but I do think Ted Lasso got it wrong when he said it was like licking the inside of a wet paper bag. I found this very aromatic and floral, but not overly sweet. It was easy to drink, and I quite enjoyed this alongside my tea time.
Now, I went with a suggestion of our server for mine, and it was the organic whole rosebuds made with rose, fresh meadow, and bay leaf. It's described as delicate rosebuds are handpicked in the morning out of direct sunlight and during a low breeze, very specific, to leave their beautiful fragrance intact and their refreshing leafy notes undisturbed. And I will say that this did taste very much like a rose smells. It was light, bright, and floral, and the more it steeped, the more it began to taste very herbaceous and like you were walking through a delightful garden. I really enjoyed it.
After our tea was poured, we were given our finger sandwiches, of which there were 6 different varieties, and our server was great about making sure Alan could enjoy all of them with his allergy and changing out any ingredients that were in question. The first one I tried was the cucumber, pine cream, and sorrel on white bread. Now, while I've never had tea in the UK, this was a very traditional tea sandwich that I've had at other places. The pine cream tasted a lot like a light cream cheese, and then you had the refreshing cucumber on top. This was my second favorite of the 6 sandwiches. I also tried the turkey sandwich, which was made with Cambridge bronze turkey, cranberry, chestnut, and pork stuffing on malt bread. This tasted like an elevated Thanksgiving dinner on a sandwich. It was meaty with a little bit of tartness from the cranberry. I quite enjoyed it. But the winner for me was the egg sandwich. This was egg salad made with Buford brown truffle egg mayonnaise on white bread. You had that delicious stick to the roof of your mouth white bread, plus a strong truffle flavor and creamy eggs. 10 out of 10 for me.
Now, I started off by tasting the beetroot tart, which is made with tête de mon, pain épices, and red currant. This was incredibly earthy, as is the way with beets, but there was a ton of that rich nutty cheese, and the flavor quickly faded away into some light sweetness. I actually really enjoyed this, and I'm normally not a beet enjoyer. Next, I sampled the Severn and Wye smoked salmon with Marie rosé sauce and lemon on rye bread. I really liked the ratio of that smoked salmon to the bread. There was enough bread to stand up to the salmon to where it didn't feel like there was too much fish going on. It had a nice smoky flavor, and I thought it was very refreshing with the lemon on top. Next up, I sampled the Dorrington ham, burnt orange, and cloves on onion bread, and this had to be my favorite. It was nice and hearty from the ham with a bit of light citrus coming in from the orange, and then there was some subtle herbaceousness coming from the clove to lighten and brighten everything up. This was my favorite sandwich by far. And I would like to give a special shout out to our server who offered us seconds on any sandwiches that we enjoyed.
Eggs.
Molly, as you can hear her in the background, ordered more eggs. Next up came the dessert sections, which was started with a seasonal treat from the chef. In this case, it was a small bite-sized gingerbread ice cream sandwich. And this was one of the most delectable bites I have had in a long time. The gingerbread man on the outside was sort of a mix of gingerbread chunks amidst a white chocolate / gingerbread coating and gingerbread ice cream underneath. This was very gingery, but still very light. And while I didn't get a ton of the gingerbread flavor from the ice cream, it was mostly vanilla, it did give me some of those warm baking spices. A delectable bite.
We also received fresh scones, both warm raisin and plain, from the bakery, with a selection of preserves. We got black currant and strawberry, and house-made clotted cream. I don't know why we don't have clotted cream in the United States, because this was divine. In fact, I preferred the clotted cream strawberry jam topped scone to any of the desserts as someone who doesn't like things overly sweet. It was simple deliciousness. This was fantastic, and I will be eating more scones in the UK.
And next came a selection of pastries, of which I enjoyed two. First was the chocolate and orange Yule log with orange marmalade and chocolate cremeux. This was my favorite of those treats. There was a nice light chocolate flavor, not super rich, but still very chocolatey, and it was cut by that orange flavor to make it nice and bright. I very much enjoyed this to sort of cleanse the palate. I also sampled the tropical tart with coconut chantilly, pineapple, and almond cream. I have to tell you that coconut chantilly was phenomenal and my favorite part of this particular treat. It was very rich, which is not something that I would normally expect from a coconut chantilly cream, and that pineapple and almond cream beneath it helped to serve to brighten up this entire dish. I have to say all of these desserts were incredibly balanced of the rich versus bright. I really enjoyed this.
For the desserts, I started with the Mont Blanc, which was made with candied chestnuts and vanilla chantilly. This was quite nice. It wasn't overly nutty. I honestly could have used a little bit more of that, but I liked the nice, light, freshly made vanilla chantilly cream. But the real star of the show is the fact that this came on a delicious and perfectly done meringue. I also tried the almond mousse, which was made with a sour cherry compote and an almond sponge cake. This was very good as well. All these desserts, like Alan said, were very light and expertly made. However, I could have used a little bit more almond extract here, as that is one of my favorite flavors. But like I said, all the desserts were beautiful and light after a bunch of sandwiches. Overall, tea at the Dorchester was a wonderful experience. From the decor, including the gingerbread London display, to the excellent service, this was certainly a splurge, but I think it was worth it to have our first high tea in the UK. You know, I think Ted Lasso was incorrect when he said tea tastes like a wet paper bag. Actually, Dr. Sharon said that, but the point is, I thought it was lovely.
It was a great time, but now we are headed to do something that, wasn't on our list initially, but thanks to social media and you leaving your comments on our post about us being here in London, we're going somewhere magical.
And that magical destination is Selfridge's department store, which was founded in 1909. And upon reading about the history, it's not only a famous London department store, but it was also described as one of the first places that women were allowed to go and enjoy shopping for leisure rather than just necessity. And it was home to cafes and libraries and reading rooms and even an all-female gun club, which makes it a very cool history. But it is a beautiful, large... More like herstory.
Yeah, nailed it.
Nailed it, Alan. But it is a beautiful department store, and right now for the holiday season, they have a collaboration with Disney. So they have these beautiful window displays outside, as well as a light show that goes off every 15 minutes illuminating the castle. And we walked through and looked at the iconic windows, which have all been decorated with different Disney films, most of those Disney films being UK characters. My personal favorite one, it's either got to be the Peter Pan with Tinkerbell flying around, or the 101 Dalmatians, or Mary Poppins, because in classic Molly fashion, I refuse to pick just one.
You picked three, but for me, I think my favorite one is going to be the Great Big Ben clock with the entire Darling family and Peter Pan flying around it.
Once we stepped inside, it really reminded me of going to department stores with my mom when I was little at Christmas time, but we went straight for the Disney store section they had inside, which featured not only exclusive merchandise just for Selfridges, but also merchandise from Disney parks around the world. I couldn't help but pick up one of the Selfridges exclusive Winnie the Pooh keychain dongles. I had to get Tigger, he's my second favorite Disney character, as well as a Peter Pan keychain dongle from Tokyo Disneyland. We also ventured upstairs where they had another Disney display with Swarovski crystal with some beautiful figurines and jewelry. I particularly liked the Alice in Wonderland display here. And while a different department store was on our list, I'm glad we added this one as well for a little magic and whimsy to end our evening.
On our way back, we decided to take in all of the beautiful holiday lights that are hanging between the streets.
And I got distracted by the Stranger Things Primark display and bought some goodies.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. But both of us are quite jet lagged, so we are going to go to sleep and see you all in the morning. Good morning, we're back. And today we are at the Tower of London.
Our checklist says that we are supposed to find out what a beefeater is, but what Alan doesn't know is that that's a cover to steal the crown jewels. You see, when we were in France a few months ago, we saw the jewels and didn't realize how easy it would be to steal them. The jewels that we saw were heisted weeks ago, and it looked comically easy. So, I am actually here to steal the crown jewels.
We're really not.
So while the list says we're here to find out what a beefeater is, between you and I am here to case the joint to steal the crown jewels.
No, that's not true. We're not doing that. To be clear, no. We just want to find out what a beefeater is.
Sure, we're not here to steal the crown jewels.
I'm stressed.
And considering it's only about 36 pounds to get into the Tower of London, it'll be quite the steal, pun intended, if we are able to acquire some jewels. Now, in all seriousness, when booking tickets for the Tower of London, I do recommend booking from the official site. There are third-party sellers that sell tickets as well, but just to be safe, I always like to go with the official site. When booking them, you are going to select a time entry slot, and I recommend doing that prior to getting here because you just never know how busy these places are going to be. We also booked the audio guide so that we can learn some fun facts, because what is life without learning
Learning
fun
is
facts?
cool, team.
Learning is cool. Let's go learn and not steal the jewels. Wink.
No. Now, there's going to be so much more learning that happens once we get inside, but it has already begun. Here's some basic info. This area was founded in the year 1066, which is going to be great for Molly to not wrap her head around. And the White Tower, which sort of gives this entire space its name, was built in 1078. How's that feel for you?
My brain can't comprehend old things.
Right. But even on the way in, there's plenty of placards to learn about some of the early history of the palace itself and the surrounding walls. And we're standing right outside here at St. Thomas's Tower above the Traitors' Gate, where some famous traitors would be brought through to the tower to receive their punishment.
Not the fun kind with Alan coming either. I don't know
this is like
how
bad
we're going to
traitor.
steal the jewels, but I do know we do not want to be taken in there.
Also, fun fact about these little cross sections here, literally in the shape of that cross. Those were so that if you were on the interior, you could fire your arrows out of the tower without having arrows come back in and hit you.
And here we have found Bran Stark. Not gonna lie, I thought that one was real. Terrified me. We are learning that the ravens have, they've kept a record of them since 1880, and they have a list of all the tower ravens since then. But basically, there is a myth, no one knows quite where it came from, that as long as there were ravens here, the tower would not fall. And so, for tradition, they do keep ravens here at all time, and they are definitely not scary.
No, they're so cool.
They're
so smart.
They're incredibly smart, which is what makes them so scary.
I can hold you. I'd want a pet raven.
They're so scary. But they all have little names, which does endear me to them a little bit. And a giant sign that says they'll bite you. So watch out. Alan, that says that they eat meat, but once a week they get a little treat. Do you know what the treat is?
No.
An egg. Oh. I'm more endeared to them now.
You do like it.
Look at him. He's having a little bath. Oh my goodness. Okay. Hi.
So very handsome.
Oh my god.
Hello.
Hello. Oh my god, it was so close.
You're very handsome. Very handsome.
I get her.
So,
Buck gloves.
and?
This raven. I've
So
been
we-
endeared.
They're really awesome.
I am also a sucker for a good merchandise.
We have also, as evidenced by what's on Molly's neck, picked up our audio guides. We are going to begin the process of going through the tour, and we'll let you know fun facts that we learn along the way. Obviously not everything, because the tour is very, very cool and inclusive, but we'll share some of the fun stuff that we enjoy. Hello, welcome back. You can see we made it up to the top of one of the battlements, or one of the walking areas between the towers. That's quite elevated, and you see the White Tower just there. Fun fact update for you, we learned that Anne Boleyn, not just 3 years after having her coronation that started here within the palace, she was brought back through the Traitors' Gate 3 years later and tried within the Grand Hall as a traitor, which I imagine was incredibly intimidating. But yeah, there's your interstitial fun fact update from us.
Also, there used to be a zoo here, and there's all different animals, and now they have different, metal, very cool animals to represent that, including an elephant that was gifted from King Louis IX of France. Okay, we've made it to the fortress and soldier part of the tower, where we're learning what it would be like to be a guard. And we have some helmets and crossbows here, and we're going to learn more about what it would have been like, because we're trying to protect the king. And his prisoners. It's pretty important. Okay, here we go. Also, these stairs are so small. Like, my foot doesn't fit on them. How small were people back then? Smaller than me. Look at this guy. This guy's ready to go. Look out for attackers. Enemy arrows from outside the castle could hit you here. So we have this wooden structure to protect us, but we could look out like this to see who we're fighting. Did you see who we're fighting? This guy's getting his loading up the crossbow. I'm gonna fall down here. Oh no, these items were stolen. Come forward if you have information. And while I may be here to heist the jewels, I did not steal those. We just learned about a peasants' revolt in the 1300s. I think that's a real raven sitting on there. So as a new fan, hey bird, what's up? I'm not scared of you. But I don't condone beheading anyone, but, kind of team peasant on that one. And we also learned that there are 35 of the guards, and there have been forever. And that doesn't seem like enough people, but that is tradition. Hello, bird. Hello. I'm your friend now. I am no longer scared of you. Yeah. Just want to take a picture of you.
You're very handsome.
Hello. Hi. You are very handsome. Look at you. Yeah, you know that. Yeah. Okay, I like it now. Just taking a picture of you. Update, we went to an exhibit about the yeoman guards. Couldn't film in there, but I did not learn why they're called beefeaters. We did learn, though, that they live here and that these are their homes, and that's pretty cool, including like their spouses and children and grandchildren. So there are kids that grow up at the Tower of London, which is very cool, even to this day. And we're going to continue exploring because we have yet to get answers. Mystery solved. Also, we got to watch the changing of the guard. The Royal Guard is standing outside the building with the crown jewels.
Wait! Oh.
Could probably take them.
Nope, don't say that. Stop that.
But we also got to speak to one of the yeoman guards and find out why they're called beefeaters. And she told us that there's actually not an official record, but the most information they have written down is that they were paid in meat, which was very scarce.
Yeah, I think it's just such an interesting position to hold. Obviously, there is a great deal of honor that comes with holding the yeoman guard station. There's only 35 here stationed along with their families. And I think that's what an incredible tradition and heritage associated with that role. The more I learn, it's just fascinating. Very, very cool.
Other thing she taught us is that you have to have 22 years of service with the British military in any of the branches, and there are certain medals you have to be awarded to interview for Beefeater, and there's only ever been 6 women, and she's one of them, and I'm glad that she's the Beefeater we got to talk to.
Yeah. Before we head to go check out the prisons.
And torture.
Yep. Fun fact about the guards who are standing outside of the crown jewels. Now, they are each there for 2 hours at a time, and they are allowed to march, as we have seen, in order to, move and get the blood flowing. But that is a 2-hour post before they are changed. All right. Well, we learned a bit about what would it be like to be imprisoned here. There's one room in particular that I did not enjoy at all. That is the room where you could not stand. You'd have to be crouched the whole time, which would be awful. A lot of what was recorded is that there was some use of physical torture, but much of the torture here was psychological. And there were folks from a whole variety of different uprisings, rebellions, as monarchs changed, the opposing groups being brought in here and held. I think one of the most fascinating things is the fact that the carvings in the walls exist and stand for centuries, and you can still see them now. Now, they are protected, so the memory of those folks held here lives on, but it is truly wild to think about the sheer volume of humans held here at one point.
It's also incredibly impressive that they were able to carve such intricate things into the stone.
It makes me wonder what they were using to carve.
All right, it's time to visit the torture exhibit. I don't want to say I'm excited because that sounds terrible, but not excited to go see this. I will potentially give a graphic warning. I don't know what we're about to see, but if you are not into, medieval torture, maybe don't watch this part. Now, we're learning that torture wasn't widely used, as Alan already said, but when it was, we've got some examples here. Manacles, where you're hung up by your arms. The rack, where you're laid down and then stretched. Or the scavenger's daughter, where you're compressed. Alan, which of these would you like to do the least?
I have to pick.
Yeah, I agree. This one looks terrible. I mean, they all look terrible. All right, that wasn't that bad. I mean, it would have been if you were in any of those situations, but I thought it'd be more graphic. We'll save the more spooky things for tomorrow. But we continue. You can ignore the Christmas thing, although that's nice. But what I'm talking about is the polar bear, because one of the kings had a pet polar bear that he would take fishing and swimming in the Thames. And there's a representation of that.
Well, next up we're headed inside of the White Tower, which is now used to house items from the Royal Armory. It was originally built by William the Conqueror, as we mentioned before, as a intimidation tactic. And I can see why it would be quite intimidating. Just here you can see not only some of our raven friends sort of resting and roosting, you can also see the remains of many of the walls that once were built on the sides. This is quite the visage.
We are now in the Royal Armory, where you can see actual armor used by very famous people. Alan, I task us with finding the best armor, or the one you'd want to wear. Yeah. And your horse.
Okay, what was your favorite armor?
Okay, the one I would want, I thought I was going to want King Henry on the horse, but then I decided King Charles the First because it was bronze, and it was the only bronze one I saw, and I like that he's different, and also that he made his horse a unicorn. What about you?
Oh, I do like that. I like the armor of the giant. I just like the aesthetic.
Well,
also, it's huge.
You'd have to be that big to pick up that sword.
1,000%.
Because that sword is bigger than me. I couldn't pick that up.
Big old broadsword.
But that was very cool. That was actually one of my favorite parts so far, is looking at all the armor and the detail in it. But now it's time to...
We're going to go look at the crown jewels. We cannot take cameras in there with us or film, so we're just going to go in there and look.
Exactly, no evidence. Good thinking.
Nope. No. Dear entire UK, City of London, we did not... She's kidding, okay? Okay, thanks.
That was awesome.
That was fascinating. I think the biggest pro tip that I would have is get here early, because later in the day it has gotten very busy. There are many a school group, although we are here in the middle of the week. So just if you want to have some time unimpeded to tour the tower, the earlier the better.
We had a 9:30 to 10 o'clock entry slip, and we're now leaving at noon because it does take several hours and it's much busier. So go early. Also, I don't think we needed the audio guide. I found myself not really listening to it that often because I liked listening to the guards talk or reading the plaques or seeing the exhibits. So I don't think the audio guide was really necessary.
And I want to say this. If you have the opportunity to kindly speak with the guards
or the exhibit
or the guides, please do. They are a wealth of knowledge. They are all very kind and professional, and it was fascinating to hear from them because they just have a wealth of knowledge, and they're very happy to share.
So what was your favorite part?
For me, it had to be visiting. For a while, let me start out. For a while, it was learning from the yeoman guards, because I think that is such a fascinating, what an honor to hold that position, clearly. And then I walked in and I got to see the crown jewels, which, again, there were no photographs allowed, no videoing allowed.
and we did not steal any.
As promised. Nope.
Cover of darkness.
Nope. So I think the history of those crown jewels are great, having been lost and then been reforged later. The amount of extravagance that exists there across all of those. The sheer volume of jewels that we saw, both across the crowns and the scepters. The ceremony established to all of those swords, maces, and trumpets that we learned are now retired. Now there are no French horns on loan from the military that are used in ceremonies. But I think for me, I love the fact that there's a big gold stick. Now, why is there a big gold stick? We asked. Unclear. The history and the ceremony behind the big golden scepter, unknown. But when the crown jewels were being reforged, they found a record that, hey, we have this big gold stick, and
make another
we're going to make another one.
There was also a big punch bowl that could hold 240 bottles of wine in all gold. And I thought, that's nice. I'd like to have that.
Is that your favorite thing?
I can't heist that, though. No, my favorite thing would probably be one, shockingly, I did like the Ravens.
I love the Ravens.
I've grown to enjoy the Ravens. And also, I found out what a beefeater is. And that's what I wanted to do. So I'm glad we did. But overall, this is a very cool experience. I think quintessential if you're coming to London, one of the coolest historical sites. And I'm glad we did.
Yeah. Now, thankfully, the other thing we wanted to do was quite close. And that was to check and ensure that the Tower Bridge did not pull a London Bridge.
We don't want it to fall down.
We don't.
Let's check.
We're good.
Still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not London Bridge, because as we all know, that one did fall down. But Tower Bridge was took 8 years to build, I just learned, and 432 people working every single day to build this bad boy. And it officially opened in 1894. It's very beautiful. You can walk across it, both at the bottom and the top. We're not going to do that right now, because we're hungry, if I'm being honest. But you can book tickets to walk all the way across the bridge, which is very, very cool. But it's neat to just see it, honestly. It's such an iconic landmark in the world, and it's always kind of wild to just lay your eyeballs on these things. But next up for us, another item off the list, it's lunchtime. And that lunch destination is Dishoom, which is an Indian restaurant chain, very, very popular here in London and inspired by the Irani cafes in Bombay, which were popular in the 1960s. We have heard from a lot of people we need to eat here while in London. From everyone from some of our closest friends in Orlando to many, many of you, including those who are local to London, people say Dishoom is one of the must-eat spots in the city. So super excited to check it out.
Arriving at Dishoom, it had a very warm and welcoming interior, but I was more concerned about the menu, which had a wide array of selections. Now, I should note for all of the Dishoom locations, they will have one distinct special, and here in Shoreditch, it was the prawn pathia. We did not end up going with that, but I did want to note that for every location, there is their own special. Starting off with small plates, you've got things like the chili chicken and the vegetable samosas. Then you can get some items off the grill, like the charred lamb chops or the Dishoom chicken tikka. From there, you have Ruby Murray, which are their signature curries, made with things like the Goan monkfish curry and the Matar paneer. They also have some biryani, vegetable side dishes, and some bread and rice like naan, roti, and basmati rice. Now on the back of their menu, boy, is there a whole lot of drinks ranging from tipples to Rabas coffee, chai, bottled soda, lassies, and then a selection of wines. Now, we had to pick up some of those signature beverages, so I picked up the Dishoom India Pale Ale. This is a delectable IPA with fruity citrus notes and a clean bitterness, bold and vigorous and in character. I really enjoyed this IPA. It was not super strong. It had a light pine flavor that really helped to clear the palate from all of the very rich flavors coming from the rest of the dishes that we had. I will note that this was not as strong in ABV as other IPAs I'm used to in the States.
We also both had to try the traditional house chai, which is made the traditional way, served warm. And it was very cozy and filling in my belly. It had a lot of those traditional chai spices, which I quite enjoyed. However, I think I will be sticking to coffee. What I am obsessed with, though, is the new Permit Room Old Fashioned. This is made with coconut-washed Woodford Reserve bourbon, Pedro Jimenez sherry, and Medjool date liqueur, and this is one of the best cocktails I've ever had in my entire life. I was afraid it'd be too sweet because of the coconut and the date liqueur, but it was perfect. It was a strong, bourbon-forward old-fashioned, but it had a little hint of coconut, which I love. 10 out of 10, could drink 100 of these. I wouldn't, but I could. Next came the small plates, and I tried the chili cheese toast, which was described as a nostalgia dish for Bombayites. It's made with green chilies, capsaicin, and garlic in cheddar melt on white sliced loaf. This was basically the best cheese toast I've ever had because it had a kick of spice thanks to those green chilies, and an even heavier kick when I dipped it into the chili sauce provided at the table, along with the mint and tamarind sauces. While it was not the most unusual thing on the table, I really enjoyed it as someone who loves spice and cheese.
I tried the vegetable samosas. These were crunchy Punjabi-style short crust pastry, pea and potato filling, warmly spiced with cinnamon and a tamarind chutney for dipping on the side. When I tell you the cinnamon was at the forefront of this flavor profile, boy oh boy was it quite cinnamony. The interior filling was a little chunky and nice with the pea and potatoes, and I love the crispy exterior. This was fantastic, but when I tell you it was only elevated by the slightly sweet and fruity tamarind chutney on the side, it went into the stratosphere. I loved these.
Next up, probably the most famous dish from the restaurant, the chicken ruby. This is tender chicken in a rich, silky makhani sauce, a good and proper curry redolent with spice and flavor. Our server told us that people line up for hours to get this dish, and I can see why. This was the most tender chicken I think I've ever eaten. It could barely get scooped onto the naan. It kept falling apart, and it had that rich curry flavor, which was fantastic. Paired it with the garlic naan, which comes with minced garlic and a coriander sprinkle and butter, and oh my goodness, this was a divine bite. Think of the best Indian food you've ever had and then add 10. This was amazing. I should also note this is a perfect starter dish if you're not sure about Indian food or you're afraid of the spice of Indian food. This is not spicy in a hot way. This is just spicy in a flavorful way. I'm still thinking about it.
And I enjoyed the mutton pepper fry. This is finest mutton marinated in red chili, ginger, and garlic, then cooked with black peppercorns and whole spices. Described as robust, spicy, and tender, and I am going to second all of those things. This was quite spicy. Now, I know that I have a pretty high spice tolerance, but this even got a little bit of sweat and had some tingles all around the roof of my mouth and down the sides of my throat, but the flavor was unmatched. The mutton was not gamey, it was very tender and moist. You could taste the peppers and the ginger and the garlic coming through very strongly, and then it slowly burned into that spice filling your mouth. I paired this with the very light and fluffy basmati rice that was incredibly fragrant as I added it to my plate, and I loved every single bite.
Now I'm so full.
I'm so full and tired. That was so delicious.
Yeah. Wow, that was a great recommendation from everyone who's ever told us to eat here. I get the hype.
I do too. Now we're going to take all this gushing, overflowing energy and go to Harrods.
I'm so excited.
I'm going to nap in the cab.
That was such a treat. We did not take a nap in the cab because we had the most delightful cab driver.
Who, listen, I didn't sign up for a tour of London, but I am very happy that I got one. And we had so many fun facts. We got to see so many things.
Yeah, he heard our accents, asked where we were from, and was like, do you want me to show you some things in London as we drive? We're going to pass a lot of historical stuff. And we were like, yeah. And also his voice sounded like Dick Van Dyke wanted to sound. Like he had just the most delightful accent. So we took notes of everything we saw that he told us. For starters, we saw St. Paul's Cathedral, which is a very famous church, but most applicable to us early each day at the steps of St. Paul. The little old board woman comes. That's where Tuppence the Bag takes place.
We also drove down Fleet Street. Now,
I would not get my hair cut there.
That was the main thing with that. I personally love seeing the Royal Building of Justice. That was, the Royal Courts was first of all, massive. The building was a block wide in both directions.
So stunning. Also, just like in Paris, every building is 1 billion years old compared to the United States. So we also passed like the old London banks from the 1600s, and they're just beautiful buildings. We passed Trafalgar Square, where there's a statue of Napoleon. We passed a statue of Florence Nightingale.
Yeah. And then finally, we had a trip back around Buckingham Palace.
Not Hogwarts, as I've come to learn.
Can't believe we're at Hogwarts!
No, that's Buckingham Palace. Hogwarts is fictional. Do you know that? It's important to me that you know that.
And then we were driving through some very posh neighborhoods, and one of them is called Belgravia, where there's a lot of embassies for other countries, but the buildings looked really familiar to me, so I Googled it, and they are, we were about half a mile away from Annie James's house, Elizabeth James's house from The Parent Trap, and currently we are in the Chelsea, Kensington area, which these buildings looked familiar, so we Googled it, and these are what inspired Cherry Tree Lane from Mary Poppins. So that was like a fascinating little bonus adventure.
Also, like, a lot of the places in the Disney lexicon are very, very ritzy.
Elizabeth James is a very successful wedding dress designer. Yeah. She would live in the ritziest part of London.
And the Banks family were bankers, so...
Also would live in the ritzy parts of London.
That's true. But now we're going to go into Harrods.
Speaking of ritzy things. Harrods is a very famous department store here in London. It first opened in 1905, and according to my research, which is Wikipedia, it attracts over 15 million visitors annually. I remember coming here as a child and being delighted by the toy section and also seeing a champagne counter that I could not enjoy. So I'm excited to go explore, maybe treat ourselves to a little something, but also I know there's a food hall here. But I think what's most important is Alan said you really want to just go to a store while we're in London. It's much more than a store. It's an experience. I think. I don't know. I was 8. Does this elevator make you feel like we're going into a bank full of goblins and trolls? Lamp, please. Key, please.
All right, so we just got back from Harrods. It was overwhelming.
Bad news, I did not get to buy the giant teddy bear that I saw when I went to Harrods at age 8, or today at 36.
Say how much it was.
Several $1,000. Maybe I don't need a multi-$1,000 giant teddy bear, okay?
Maybe
I couldn't get it home. You know, like logistically, what do I do with that?
Yeah, even if the
even if I thought I need a multi-$1,000 teddy bear, it was Steve for the record. I can't get it home. So Anyway, we walked around, we enjoyed. The food hall was overwhelming with decisions.
That was it? Everything else is overwhelming too.
It's just a beautiful space. I mean, it's a department store, but it's really fun. Classic London. But now we are headed to one of the main reasons we booked this trip to begin with.
Yes, we were going to go see Disney Hercules, which has made its debut on the West End. And I, for one, am thrilled. We got to see a production of Disney Hercules, different one, on the Disney Destiny, which was incredibly emotional for me. And I suspect I will have a similar reaction to seeing this show, because this is my favorite film adapted to stage.
Just like seeing any show on Broadway, seeing a show in the West End, you cannot film the performance, so We're not going to bring the camera, but we will be back in a bit with whatever we're allowed to film in the meantime to recap our thoughts on the new show.
Yeah, see you then.
Go the distance, I'll be right where I belong. Even getting free. Who'd you think you're kidding? He's the earth and heaven too. Try to keep it hidden. Honey, we can see right through you. Girl, you can feel it. We know how you're feeling.
that to the Muses featuring everyone else.
That's true. I think there's one consistent thing I've seen throughout both of these Hercules stage productions. I just had an epiphany. I've seen my favorite Disney film on stage twice in 2 different iterations within 3 weeks. So that's a lot that just now hit me. Yes, the Muses were incredible.
Stars of the show.
Absolutely.
Number one reason to go see it.
Their vocal talent.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. I could have listened to them sing the ABCs. They were amazing.
Amazing.
And luckily, they got in more songs than they do in the movie.
They did, and they crushed those too. I love that show. I think it is so distinct. It is different from the film. So if you're expecting a shot-for-shot, song-for-song remake of Disney's Hercules the motion picture, that's not what you're going to get. You are going to get the same iconic songs, but you're also getting new stuff and new plot, some change plot.
Yeah, I had read mixed reviews online prior to going to see it. For example, they cut any of the mythical creatures, so Pain and Panic are replaced by humans, Phil is a human, Pegasus isn't in it. So I kind of went in with a medium to low bar, and I really enjoyed it.
I didn't have any expectations because I avoided spoilers like the plague, which is hard on the internet, but I managed to do so. And I will say that, you know what, having not known that, I didn't really miss them, if I'm thinking about it now. The one thing that I will say that shocked me with the change was that Hercules didn't act as this sort of naive but well-meaning hero in this play. He sort of, at least in my perspective, acted a little bit like a bumbling dum-dum, which is not what I had expected going into it, but I've got to be honest, the other changes, like Megara having so much more agency, the Muses having so much more involvement, Hades having a lot...
Hades was very fun.
Hades
had me laughing out loud.
Yeah, I think, listen, is it the most perfect show I've ever seen in my entire life? No, but my goodness, did it deliver? Yes.
I think if you're going to the show, go in with no expectations. Do not go in with it thinking it's going to be, like Alan said, a shot-for-shot remake of the movie, and just enjoy it for what it is, which is a more comedic version.
It's a Grecian comedy. That has been. They've taken the coming-of-age Hercules story and turned it into a true Grecian comedy,
featuring everyone else but starring
the Muses. But I can't think of a better way to wrap the first half of our journey here in London. That said, we have done a lot on our London list. Insert list graphic here.
But not everything based on said graphic inserted right here.
Yeah.
So make sure to come back for our future London videos.
But until next time, friends, please be sure to like this video, subscribe if you are new, follow us on all of our socials, and come join us on Discord. We'd love to have you there. Links for all that are down below.
And until next time, friends, I'm Molly.
And I'm Alan.
And it has been splendid. Oh, chap, cheerio, pip, pip. Top of the morning.
Bye.
Hercules.